Yeah, the main focuses this week are really to build on last week. Like last week, we obviously got beaten, and that's disappointing. But there were also some really good elements in that, so we sort of made sure we focused on that. But probably our contest method was the piece which we didn't quite get right. So we've trained that a little bit more than we had in the lead-in, and hopefully we can see a response.
Do you feel like you're feeling the loss of some of those senior girls that moved around at the end of last season?
Not really, to be honest. I don't think that was the reason that we didn't quite perform at the level we wanted. As I say, I think our contest method was off, and we probably just didn't give our forwards the best opportunity either. We probably kicked the ball a little bit straight line at times. So those two things.
How are you looking to shut down Richmond?
Yeah, so they're particularly their midfield. They've got Monique Conti, Ellie McKenzie, both the Hoskings. So they've got some really high-end talent through the midfield. So that's going to be a big challenge for our team. But fortunately, we've got some pretty good ones as well. So every week that is a fairly standard answer that the midfield battle is important. But it's particularly relevant this week because ahead of the ball, they've also got some strong marking targets. So if we give them, multiple opportunities forward of the ball, then we'll have a tough day. But equally, we feel as though our midfield stacks up pretty well, and we'll hold up okay.
Richmond did play a really defensive, low-scoring game last week, though. Does that change plans for you?
Yeah, we had a little bit of a look at that during the week. Historically, they've given up some scores. They've been fairly attacking and have scored well when they've had it inside 50, but have defensively allowed teams to get at them. So they've obviously made some adjustments, and they did have a player rolling back for a fair chunk of that game. But that's not dissimilar to a lot of the teams in the comp. So yeah, as I said when I spoke about the way we delivered to our forwards last week, if we play really straight line, then that will play into the hands of those defensive players rolling back. So we just need to have composure and move it a bit more efficiently and effectively.
The uncontested possessions last week, obviously,
world record.
Stand out. Was it?
No, I don't know.
Let's say no. But what changes are you making this week? I suppose I suppose you want to see an improvement.
Absolutely, yeah. No, that was the glaring statistical anomaly in the game, and a little bit of it was around that contest method. So a lot of those extra possessions that they gathered were handball receive chains off the back of them also being really good in the contest and us being unable to cover their outlet players. So, as I said, we spent a little bit of time working on that. It's not something that's foreign to us, but Melbourne were very good on the day.
So what do you do at selection table?
Yeah. So there'll be some change, not in response to one performance, but just probably recognition of a little bit of structural stuff, how we want to set up. So Amber Ward will come in for her first game for the club, which is really exciting. She came over from West Coast, South Australian girl originally, but that'll essentially give us an extra tall defender, and that'll allow us to play some of our other players in slightly different positions as well. So there'll be a couple other changes as well, but anytime someone debuts for your club, it's really exciting. And Amber's decision to come and join us was a really tough one. She really enjoyed her time at West Coast. She's obviously had another option in South Australia, so we were really excited that she's going to join us, and hopefully she'll do well.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but her dad was in the Crows supporter group or something, wasn't he?
Yeah, well, that might have helped us get her over the line. But yeah, no, her family's been invested with the footy club for a long time, and she's obviously a really great person, but she's great talent as well. She's going to play a lot of footy for us.
How much more difficult does it make for you guys playing at Punt Road Oval? Like, it is kind of a spiritual time.
Yeah, well, we played a game there last year. We've never played Richmond, but we have played at Punt Road. We played West Coast at Punt Road last year. It's actually a great little ground for footy really, and it's got good atmosphere. Melbourne is in the first time they've had finals footy in Melbourne for a couple of years, so they're. The city will be up and about, so hopefully they'll get a really good crowd along. Obviously, Richmond losing last night, they might be a bit sad, but I'm sure they might recognise they've still got another team running around. So hopefully it'll be a great atmosphere, but the venue itself doesn't hold any great fears, no.
Chelsea Randall back in the...
Chelsea Randall, yeah, she's one of our footballers. She's good.
She did well in there, though. I really watched the
so obviously she's phenomenal. Talented footballer, and it probably doesn't matter where you play her. So the versatility she provides to the group is a real asset for us. And as we did last week, we sort of threw her around to solve some problems. hopefully we can use this week in a bit more proactive sense so that we're not solving problems but maybe creating some for the opposition.
Mate, just one more on the start. How much you hang up? All those types of buzzwords.
Well, let's hope not. Yeah, it's a little bit it's a bit early to say. We'll, the reality is that Melbourne are a very good football team. It's never as good as it seems or as bad as it seems. We beat them by a couple of goals in the last game of the year last year, and they beat us by a couple of goals in the first game this year. So, but we've got to get better. We've got they are now the team to beat. So let's see if we can win a game of footy this weekend, and then set about just getting a bit better each week, and maybe we'll get them by the end.